something else. Okay. All right. Howdy Globe participants. I hope that you and your family are doing well and you're staying safe, having a good summer. This afternoon, thank you for watching this video from our session this afternoon. We want to invite you to be a part of an additional community service project. And this does not take place of your service learning project, but this is just something extra that you could do. What we're talking about today is about an evaluation. Think about a 4-H project. Most of the times we have you evaluate. At the end of a project or an activity, there will be a series of questions that we try to find out if you learned what we wanted you to learn, or if you had an experience like we wanted you to have an experience. And so today we're going to take that a little step further. But think of this, like in the context of GLOBE, I might have an evaluation question that said, I understand the importance of global competency. And your responses would be on a scale of 1 to 4, and that scale would be poor, average, good, or excellent. Those would be your choices for your answers. So that's one way we evaluate. But when you look at those words, poor, average, good, and excellent, what do they really mean? And is excellent 3 times better than poor? Is average just a little bit better than poor? We want to take that and try to put some real value to what each of those words mean, or if we had more words, you know, what would the actual value or intensity of that word mean? So this is called magnitude scaling, and this is what our project is today. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that this is a service project, a community service project, but it also fits in your 4-H record book under that heading of career exploration, because this is a research project that social scientists would use, behavioral scientists would use. So if you ever had that ambition of wanting to be a researcher, this would be something that you might be involved with. And one of the reasons why we want to have you as a 4-H member involved in this is so that you have this opportunity to experience what doing research might involve. So to help you understand what our project is today, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Gary Ellis, researcher here in the Department of Recreation, Park, and Tourism Science at Texas A&M University. He is my coworker, and we do a lot of evaluation projects related to many 4-H program areas. And so he's very familiar with the 4-H program, and we thought that this would be a good way to involve youth in an innovative type of evaluation. So Dr. Ellis?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Locke, and howdy to the GLOBE participants, and congratulations on your decision to be involved in GLOBE. It's a very exciting program, and know Dr. Locke is excited to work with you in the future. What we're interested in with this project, and we're asking you to help us with, is we want to know how to measure how people are feeling right now in the moment, you know, at this very instant. So I might ask, for example, I might say, how interested are you in this project we're doing? What is your interest level? And you might have a very high interest. It might be very strong. And another of your GLOBE colleagues might have much lesser interest and just have kind of a moderate interest, or maybe even no interest at all. In order to measure or to evaluate programs, we need to know the intensity of your feelings about those programs. So maybe your favorite 4-H meeting that you've ever had. If you could think about what was the very best one you ever had, and how intense were your feelings during that? How interested, how excited, how engaged were you during that meeting? And then there are probably other meetings that weren't, they just didn't connect with you. You just weren't as excited about them, and you'd have a feeling of lesser intensity. So what we're trying to do is measure that intensity level of these experiences like 4-H meetings. I want to share my screen and give you a little bit more detail, and then walk you through the instructions for what we're going to ask you to do. So just to further, and I'll do this quickly, further elaborate on what I was talking about, let's consider this immediate experience of engagement. So we might say a feeling, engagement is this feeling of intense interest, excitement, and attention and emotion that's focused on something that's happening, an unfolding story. An unfolding story, it can be a story like you see on television or at the movies or that you read about in a book, or it might be just a conversation, or maybe you're watching a sporting event. It's where you're interested, you might be interested in trying to understand what's going to happen next. You're working on what's going to happen next. A 4-H meeting is an engagement kind of an experience, because you have some level of interest, excitement, and attention, and you're probably wondering, what's going to happen next in the meeting. So where we're headed, what we eventually want to do. Well, first, this slide just shows differing levels of engagement. So if you look at these different people on this slide, for whatever reason, my eyes are drawn to this young woman eating the popcorn here. She probably is watching a movie, and she looks very, very engaged in that movie. If I was going to choose one of these modifiers up here, I would probably, I would say she's probably extremely engaged, or decidedly engaged, or very engaged. One of these words would describe how she's feeling. This young woman here, she also has a degree of engagement, but I don't, to me, she doesn't look, maybe she may not be quite as engaged as this young person is. I might use a different word. Over on the right side of the screen, we have these two people who probably most of us would agree that, a word like slightly or not at all, or, something like that would be more typical of these people. But what we really need to know is how strong are each of these? Which of these is the most intense, and how intense is it? Which of these is the least intense, and how intense is that word? So another way of looking at it is we're trying to align these modifiers, slightly, pretty, extremely, very, decidedly, not at all, and rather. We're trying to figure out where they fit on this continuum. On this, it's like a thermometer going from very cold to very hot. And our research is trying to figure out where to position those along the continuum. In order to do that, we need your help. So we want to engage you in 2 different exercises within this spreadsheet, where you will show us your opinion about how strong each of these items are, okay, or each of these modifiers. And we're going to do that in 2 different ways. So you'll be giving us information, and we'll use the information you give us to organize those into this questionnaire, this question that we can use for evaluation. So that is the purpose of our study. Now, the spreadsheet that we sent you, that Dr. Locke sent you, it has a tab that gives instructions for both of the techniques. So here, this tab will have instructions for this technique called numeric estimation. And then following that tab, there's the actual survey, the questions or the task that we want you to fill in is presented. And then, for research reasons, we're asking you to do it again, to do the same thing, but do it a little differently through drawing lines. So here's a set of instructions for line drawing, and here's the actual line drawing survey, the questions that you'll fill in. Now I'm going to work backwards here a little bit, because I think it's easier to understand by me starting at the end. And I'm going to show you the questions first, and then we'll look back at the instructions. For line, let's start with line drawing. For line drawing, what we ask you to do is, let me fix my screen a little bit here, is start by assuming that the modifier somewhat has an intensity level shown by these asterisks. So it's somewhat means this is this intense. It's the intensity of the length of that line. Now, if somewhat has this much intensity, how many asterisks do I need to draw to show not at all? Well, not at all, maybe, and this is all your opinion, but maybe for me it's 2 asterisks or 3 asterisks, whatever you think. If, and then you do this for each one, like whatever numbers you think. If you think not at all is more than somewhat, then you draw, if you think that, you draw the line longer than somewhat. So draw the line of any length using the asterisks to show how intense each of these are. After you're finished with not at all, then you would go to vary. And I would say, if somewhat is this long, how long is vary? And I might draw, I might draw a line that long or this long or whatever, or all the way across, whatever I thought the intensity of vary was. Okay? And you would do that for each one of these modifiers. Just go down and draw a line relative to somewhat. You always compare it to somewhat and draw a line to show how intense that modifier is. Okay, so you'll have, when you're finished, this whole screen will be filled with lines of different lengths showing how strong each of these modifiers are. When you're, the other exercise, we do the same thing, except we do them with numbers. So that's under your numeric estimation survey. And for this one, the lines are going to be drawn automatically for you, and you simply put a number in the yellow space, and the line will be drawn. Okay. Something like this. But each time, compare the modifier that you're working on to somewhat. So proceed down and proceed with all of them until you fill in the page. But just do all through extremely. Yes.
Between the two, not to.
Pardon?
The discussion about not comparing.
Oh yeah, and please do these independently. So do not look back and forth at what you put on the other one. It's important that these be done separately. So don't try to make them match up. Don't make an effort to make them match up. If they match up, that's fine. But the goal is not to make these two things fit perfectly. The goal is for you to make a determination for how intense each of these is by using numbers and drawing lines. Also, if two of these words mean the same level of intensity, you can use the same numbers. If you think 2 of them are 10s, put a 10 on both of them. If 2 of them are 30, put a 30 on both of them. So you can use whatever numbers you want, as long as you're comparing the intensity of that word to somewhat. Okay. And really, and then after you're finished, then save your spreadsheet, and you will find an email under the instructions for line drawing. Please email that spreadsheet to me at gls1@tamu.edu. Okay. So I've demonstrated how to use both techniques. If you want some more detail or you want to review, then you can find the instructions here for both techniques. Go back and read the instructions, and these will take you through everything that I just demonstrated for you. It talks about modifiers, and then it will tell you exactly what to do. Okay, both for numeric estimation and for line drawing. And we appreciate your help with this very much. And I wish you the best in your Globe experience.